Welcome to the 10th episode of Cartridge Chronicles, the podcast where we dust off the cartridges, blow on them, whether that helped or not, and dive deep into the games that shaped us. I'm Questmaster Prime, joined always by Marz Attakz, and today we're trading the high fantasy castles for a rain-slicked, abandoned Manhattan. We're not talking about chocobos or legendary swords today. We're talking about mitochondria, spontaneous human combustion, an opera singer with terrifying secret, and a 6-day nightmare that turned New York City into a biological war zone. Today we are covering Parasite Eve for the original PlayStation, released by Squaresoft in 1998, serving as a cinematic, boundary-pushing blend of survival horror and role-playing that can only have been born in the late 90s golden era. This is a game that turned a classic biological concept into pure sci-fi horror. A game where a routine night at the theater ends with an entire audience melting into slime. A game that features one of the most grotesque, unforgettable monster mutations ever rendered in a 32-bit FMV graphical game. It was Square's aggressive, brilliant attempt to capture the mature, cinematic Hollywood energy of the era, and it remains an absolute cult classic. So, grab your club, load your M92F with customized freeze ammo, and make sure your armor has auto heal equipped. This is Parasite Eve. All right, I am here with my friend and colleague, Marz Attakz, and today we're going to talk about a pretty different game for the time. It came out in 1998, and it was a game that was based off of, well, not based off of, but it was very similar to Resident Evil. It was a game called Parasite Eve. And it was a game from Squaresoft at the time, which is around the time that Final Fantasy VII was a big hit. And Parasite Eve was a game that was based off a horror novel, which goes by the same name. And that was written by Attakz, and that horror novel came out in 1995. The book was so popular in Japan, it even had a feature film. And Square wanted to do something different than Final Fantasy. They wanted to do something that a lot of other RPG companies weren't doing at the time. So they tried to do a game based off a book. And this game has a pretty interesting concept. It's an RPG, but it also has horror elements to it. The game came out in, like I said, it came out in 1998. It had Sakaguchi, who was the father of Final Fantasy, Hironobu Sakaguchi, the father of Final Fantasy, and he took on the role of producer and co-writer. And Takashi Kokita, he was the director of this game, and he was also the director of Chrono Trigger, which I think is another amazing game that a lot of people talk about. And it was a game that was designed to push the PlayStation to its limits. We have character designer, which is known for his character designs in Final Fantasy VII, Tetsuya Nomura. He came up with the protagonist, which we'll learn a lot in this episode, Aya Brea. And he gave her kind of a grounded look, made her look just like somebody that would look, or somebody that would look like they do in the 90s. Aya Brea, she is like a leather jacket. She's a cop. She's a New York City cop. And she's just in extraordinary circumstances. It's just a different type of game. It's an amazing game. If you are a fan of Resident Evil, this is a game that you would probably enjoy. I want to get your thoughts on this game. I know that with Parasite Eve, it does have RPG elements. So I was wanting to know, what were your initial thoughts with this game when you started playing?
All right, so again, starting off with the RPG element. So start the game. I've never played this game. Again, this is a PlayStation game. I didn't have a PlayStation. I didn't get to play to Sony until PlayStation 2, and that was because my best friend was like, "You have to play Onimusha. You're gonna love that game." So I never played any PlayStation games until later, right? So, or a long time after the system was gone, then I started playing, PlayStation 1 games. So it was interesting. So remember last time we were talking about, or the game before this one, that you picked.
Earthbound?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it starts off where you have to name characters, right?
Yes.
So the funny thing also is looking at the old animation styles using the disc. So this was high tech back then, and seeing this, the animations, the computer animation, the CGI, with the different characters prior to the game starting. So first thing comes up on the screen is name Anna. I forget her last name. It was do you want to rename her? And I was like, no, I don't want to go through that process.
It's easier to go with Aya. Just keep her as Aya Brea.
Yeah.
I didn't change her name either.
So kept her name the same, and just started the game. So the first instance of the game is you roll up in a car to the opera, and it's this guy. He's just named Man, which is interesting, right? So I don't, boyfriend guy. I'm you're riding in the car with this guy. He doesn't even have a name. His name is just Man. Okay.
It's her first date. It's her first date with this guy, and they went to the opera together. So yeah, he's not. He's well, you'll find. You find out he's not really a big character.
So that was throwing me off. I was did she not know this guy? The other thing was clearly it felt kind of like Resident Evil. You don't know what's going on. You walk into the control, or the first time you take control of the character, you're standing outside of the building. And again, I remember at this time, 1998, these were high graphics. We were just oh man, this is just this is the best thing we've ever seen, And so you start walking, and I don't have a book, so I don't know the controls that well. And then I figured out how to run. So you walk into the opera. You again talk. There's some interaction between you and Man again, and you walk into, because the opera has already started by the time you got there.
Yes.
You walk in again, and you get your seats, and there's a play going on in the stage, and it's all in-game graphics. And then it's what is it? The scene ends, and then there's this opera singer. First starts off in in-game graphics, then it goes to a cut scene, and the next thing you know, everybody on stage catches on fire. Then people in the audience start catching on fire, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And the other thing is people start to run, and even the man that you're with is we got to get out of here. And she's like you're still sitting in the seat, and I'm kind of what are you doing? and she finally, gets up. People are like, that's the other thing I didn't expect, like charred bodies, like
Yeah, that one really shocks you when you see
yeah.
that. You're like, oh my gosh.
So you're like, you get up, you're walking around, and the first thing is one. Okay, so I want to talk about this. Something I noticed back in the late '90s when it came to Japanese games and female police officers, they were always like dressed to the nines, doing the most harrowing work in like dresses, skirt, evening wear, high heels. Like you are too
Yeah.
dressed up to be like in this situation, right? Again, the controls feel very Resident Evil. So what do? You're like, okay, I'm gonna follow this person on stage, and this is your first foray into combat. And it was, I'm gonna be honest with you, I had no idea what was going on. Like there's a green bubble that expands around you, right? Oh, here's the other thing. It's and this is where I think it's the JRPG elements come in.
Yes.
You can still move during combat even though you're in a like locked location. So that was interesting to me. So this woman who was singing opera is now you're on stage and you're trying to take her down, and she's amazed that you're not burnt up like everyone else, which is
You're the chosen one.
Yeah.
That's what it, yeah, exactly.
Which
you're the one.
Like, okay, but I got a gun and I'm gonna start shooting you. So that was the weird, like, so at first I didn't know you could move around during this time because she fires a beam at you. She hit me the first time, and then when I was like, oh, I can move, I'm just dodging the beam, but this green like bubble comes around me, and it's like it shows a target on her face, and like when I hit the button, the gun comes up, and it's like I'm assuming it's how many rounds it's going to take to defeat. And then it's like, I shoot her, and then it's her turn, and then it's my turn. And then we don't actually finish. She's like, ha ha ha, and just runs off, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
And okay, you hear the sirens outside. And this is the one thing that got me. You hear the sirens outside, and you're like, well, better go check it. Either I can go outside or I can follow the chick who was just the opera singer, and I ended up following her, and then there's like this big hole in this ground. It's like you got to make these options, and it's a very mechanical, like do you want to go down this hole or do you want to do something else? It's even the art style of how the rooms are set up is a pre-rendered room with elements that you can like move around or touch, right?
Yeah, because it was like New York City. It was supposed to be New York City, which I thought was drawn pretty well for that time.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It was like, and I get taking what it had, like again, it was a pre-rendered room, again, kind of like the Resident Evil, and you would be able to touch certain things in the room. So you could you hop in. I hopped in the hole, and then there was a kid who was like, ha, 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 ha,
oh yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Mind you, I've got no idea what the story is or what's going on. Like where this is leading. But I am thoroughly intrigued because again, like there's a bunch of charred bodies around. And I've like, so it's got that kind of horror element I also like. But yeah, the control is clunky. I will say, like,
Oh yeah, it's Resident. Yeah, it's like Resident. I thought it was a little bit better than Resident Evil, the controls,
I
but yeah, but they're very similar.
to me the first control, like the first Resident Evil control, like were really clunky. So it's the same.
Yeah, yeah,
It's the same. So I, running up and down a hall, opening doors, finding the secrets, like it's a horror genre game, or I don't know if even horror, because it's more like mystical or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I felt like I was playing. Now, I will tell you this, and I'm jumping ahead, okay? I would play a remake. I would play a remake of this game.
yeah, yeah. I'm really hoping that they make. I don't know if they will, but I'm really hoping that they remake this game. If they haven't started already, I really hope that they can, because this game, like you just said, it's very. I mean, it was made because at the time this came out, it was Resident Evil, Silent Hill. People were talking about these like survival horror games at the time.
Yeah.
So this game was Square saying, "Look, we can do that too, and we're going to do it with our own Japanese story that we have, and
Yeah.
you're gonna like it."
So I like that's me jumping ahead. Like I would play this again, like if they remake it. But it was like I was like, okay, like you got into a groove. It wasn't anything, I hadn't done before in a game. Outside of the JRPG elements of, I can run around during combat. The one thing that got me was like when you first run into like a rat.
Oh yeah,
and into like the monster
cutscene. Yeah, that's a little crazy. Yeah.
So it was kind of like, what are we even doing? Like, what did you expect? And then like rats, birds, all these other, because I mean, when you hop underground, you're underground.
Yes.
You're under the stage in the opera house. So yeah, you're gonna run into that stuff. Walls that can be broken down, just a ton of rooms, and that's the other thing. That the game was basically, the explore, find the key, find the puzzle to open up more doors, to get you to go further, to go deeper. So yeah, it's a very like in that genre at the time, game experience. And for it to be Square, I think they did more of the they wanted to make it more supernatural than horror.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think it was more like science.
Yeah.
Horror more than anything else, because it's like mitochondria, which is pretty much the whole game. You're fighting mitochondria, just like mutating. Mitochondria is just like trying to dominate the entire body. That's what the game is. It's just and like you said, you're fighting different mammals or different animals that all have mitochondria.
Yeah, they're all like mutated from this thing, and you are also like have this mutant thing going on,
Yes.
So yeah, I think it was less horror. Like, I mean, of course, when she's burning everyone up, that's scary. But really, after that, there wasn't a lot of horror elements, outside of running around like you're in a spooky place,
Yeah, I think I agree. I think it was more like, I mean, because of the RPG elements too. I think that's why it wasn't as scary. Because Resident Evil scared me when I first played that. I didn't want to turn the corner because I'm scared to go to see a zombie eating somebody up or something. But
Yeah.
this one, yeah, I kind of can see what you're. It's more. Yeah, I wasn't scared either. I mean, I love this game, but I wasn't scared either. It was just.
Yeah, and I
I
think
think the RPG elements did it.
yeah,
That's probably
and
scary.
maybe that maybe that's what it was. It was like because it
Yeah,
was so RPG, whereas with
yeah,
Resident Evil, like you're running and gunning, you know.
yes. You, you don't have many. You don't have much ammo either.
Yeah,
So
and like you gotta run, like
and you
zombies
got to
are.
run.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. This one. Yeah, and you're right. I mean, this one had. I would say the most scary part of this game was seeing the cutscenes,
yeah,
like the rat, and seeing her like she's playing the piano and it's all eerie, and then like her whole arm turns into this like monstrous thing, and she's like with the piano. That could be a little creepy,
yeah.
but you know, it's not. It's not too bad. I mean, I say creepy for like a young kid, maybe a young teenager, but not creepy for like older teenagers like we were at the time.
So did you play this when it came out?
Yeah, I bought this game. So I bought this game because Final Fantasy VII was so amazing, and then I was just like a Square fan for life after Final Fantasy VII. And then this game came out, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Because I was really excited because Final Fantasy VIII. They were talking about Final Fantasy VIII, and I was excited about that. And I was like, "Well, I gotta wait for that." But then this game came out. This Parasite Eve yeah, game came out, and man, I saw like the cutscenes,
Yeah,
and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, this is really good." I don't know how. Well, this is during the internet time, so I think I was able to. I don't think I was able to see like videos on the internet, but I was able to see like I don't know how I saw the cutscenes ahead of time. I think I had like some preview CD or something that one of the game magazines gave me,
oh yeah,
and I saw it there because I remember seeing the cutscenes and seeing New York City and seeing like it was taking place in like the '90s, or I think took place a little bit into the future, near future. I'm not sure. I think it was the '90s though. I think it was the '90s, and it was like Christmas time, and that really drew my interest. And of course, I had to buy it. I could never find this game in the video store, which is amazing to me. I could never find it in like for renting. It's like they didn't like offer it for rent because I couldn't find it in the video store. So I ended up getting it for my birthday, or my mom got it for my birthday, and I just played the heck out of it. And I was, when I told you about it, I was like, I think you would like this better than Earthbound because, like you just said, it's not turn by turn. Not turn based fighting. It's you're walking around, you're running around, and you can dodge stuff
yeah.
and stuff like that. I was thinking you probably like that better than Earthbound, where you're just taking turns fighting, like your typical RPG. It wasn't your typical RPG,
Yeah.
and the thing was, if you play, I don't know if you played the Final Fantasy VII remake,
Yeah.
but a lot of the RPGs now are doing what this game did first, because a lot of RPGs today, they are not turn based. Well, the old school ones, some people, the indie ones, they're turn based because they like the nostalgia. But the AAA games,
Mhm.
they're all running around and fighting. Right, you're still RPG, but you're still running around fighting, and I think this game is what inspired that, and it kind of created a whole lot of other games similar to this type of game.
Yeah.
So, and of course, like I said, the cutscenes and the intro, which that's really what got my interest, was I think in like the preview CD or wherever I saw it, where they're showing these people like melting, and I'm like, what's going on? What the heck is this? That's what really got my interest in the game.
I was not
Was
ready for
that scene?
I was like, oh,
Yeah,
like
Yeah, because I'm like, why is everybody melting? And what's going on? So it kind of gets your interest. You're like, why is everybody melting? Why is this lady? Why is she a monster? Because the
Yeah,
whole game you're trying to figure out why this lady is a monster, and then you find out about mitochondrial Eve, which
yeah.
is kind of like what the story surrounds itself on. So I don't know how far you got in the game, but Aya is, of course, the chosen one, but she also has some genetics that were put in her, and well, her sister. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but her sister, her sister had the mutation, and then this doctor, who we'll find out later, put the kind of the genetic makeup in Aya and this other woman who were fighting throughout the whole game, Melissa, and this is why they're both kind of powerful because you find out Aya Brea is very powerful, and she can do things that not the average person can't do.
Right.
So it's pretty interesting. And then they use like the active time battle, which is very popular in Square games, Final Fantasy games. Like you have to wait for your gauge to fill up, then you can like fight the villains,
Yeah.
um, which is interesting. And then you have your like parasite energy, which is your superpowers. So you have your different things you can do, different things you can do just for curing yourself. And then it also has which I really like. I never got a chance to play it. It's the new game plus. I think it's one of the early games that you can have a new game plus mode, which I thought was pretty interesting. I didn't never got a chance to play it though. But how far did you get in the game, and where where did you have the most trouble? I should say.
I think I had the most trouble in the beginning because I didn't know
Yeah.
what I was doing.
Okay.
But again, it's like also I had the most trouble finding things in the rooms because it's kind of again the controls were clunky. So the
Yeah.
first time, like the room with the phone, where you find the first key, you save by calling on the phone, right?
Right.
It took me forever to get in the crawl space to get to the phone because I couldn't move the controls correctly,
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting. And I got where did I get? I got past the ball, like the piano room, the I'm trying to remember.
Trying to think the piano room. Oh, is that the one where when she's like playing the piano all eerily and
Yeah.
okay, and then
Oh,
you
that
end
was
up
another thing too. The
yeah.
music for this game. Um Even when you're like the fighting music, it's very I don't know. I liked it. I really liked the music of the game. Um but I could tell like even at one point with the opera singer, they went back to keyboard rather than using an actual singer. Um
Yes. Yes.
but yeah, like the fighting music, just it was all eerie music. Like it gave a good atmosphere. So that was cool. Like I got an hour in. I'll put it that way. So I made a lot of progress within the hour.
That's pretty good. I mean, it's a long game.
Yeah,
It's a pretty long game, but it does get kind of difficult at times, especially when you're fighting Eve. Uh, and I'll tell you, like at the end, once you get to the end, I don't want to spoil it,
hmm
but the end could be very, very. The end could be very difficult. But it's
Imagine.
like, what'd you say?
Which I imagine, because like I said, even in the early combat. So that's the other thing too, is the elements of the RPG, right? Finding new weapons, even like body armor. I was like, she's really not dressed for this.
No.
But she can find new body armor, weapons, ammo caches, medicine. Also, I think that was interesting that they made that just kind of easy rather than doing like the plant stuff from Resident Evil. You have this pills.
Yes.
You had an ammo crate that you could reload from, and then you had your Parasite Eve powers, right?
Yeah, your energy. Yeah.
So like I said, I would play this if they redid, if they made it. I know they could do the controls better, but if they I mean, think about it. With Final Fantasy the remake, right?
Yeah.
They could do it, and I don't think they would have an issue.
I don't either. I think it would be awesome. And I've been looking that up too. I was looking it up to see if there was a remake, and there's none. And I'm saddened by that. But I would think they would, do something like that. I don't know if this game, because I haven't, like, a lot of people didn't talk about this game back then. A lot of people were talking about Parasite Eve. Everybody was talking about Final Fantasy when it came to Square. They're talking about this game, but not like a lot. So I don't know. It's because it's all about demand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if people today are like, I want to see Parasite Eve remade, and I'm sure there's people out there saying it, but it's probably not enough to get it remade. I hope like a fan remake. That would be great if a fan could remake it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Steam, come across Steam.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would definitely play this game again. Actually, it made me want to also watch the short film or whatever they made. So
yeah,
I would think about that. Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, you're right. The story itself is amazing.
Yeah,
and it's a sequel to the story. It's not like a word for word telling of the story. It's a sequel. So I haven't read it, but I would love to read the novel just to see how that was.
Also, just the elements of the mitochondria. Like, again, Square does these things where it's, almost, I don't want to say body horror, but elements of biology. You get that in Final Fantasy with, everyone's dying because they have, what is that? The disease. And then they have to take mana, so just a very physical, rather than, I don't know. It's not a horror. I can't describe it, right?
Biological, like a biological.
Some kind of sci-fi. There we go.
Like science fiction. Oh yeah, because you're dealing with mitochondria taking over your body and stuff.
It's more sci-fi.
Almost alien. Alien. Yeah. Yeah, it is very biological. As far as like, because when I first played this, I'm in high school, so I'm like, I know some of what mitochondria is, but when they're like explaining it, I'm like, I don't know. But the cutscenes are cool. I had no idea what they were talking about at the time. Now I do. Like when I played it recently, I understand it. I understand more of the human body now. So I'm like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. Mitochondria losing control, taking over the host. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. It almost reminds me a little bit of the symbiote from from like Venom.
Yeah,
he kind of like turns you into this monstrous creature. So it's not really a symbiote, but your mitochondria is like, I'm going to take over. I'm going to take over all your cells because mitochondria is in all your cells in your body.
Yeah.
So if mitochondria did go crazy, yeah, you would probably be grotesque. So it does a good job at explaining that and science behind it, and it's interesting. I can kind of go into the story too, since we were talking about the book that came before it. So the story it spans. So this whole game spans 6 days. So from Christmas Eve to the 29th of December. We all know the beginning. She goes to Carnegie Hall when her man. I like that you call him man because they don't say his name. And then we know the audience, they burst into flames, like some human combustion, like spontaneous combustion. Everybody just melts.
Yeah.
And then of course she stays. I think the reason she stays is because she's a cop, and so she's following her right. So this kind of her basic instincts, even though this is not something a cop would normally see, she's still going with her basic instincts. I gotta save these people, right?
Yeah.
And this woman on stage seems to be the catalyst of it, so I need to stop her. And then like she gets on stage, and then Melissa, who's the opera singer, she turns into Eve. Eve is kind of her counterpart, her evil counterpart, or her hide, I should say. And Eve is like, mitochondria is going to overthrow the nucleus, and we're going to take over the planet. Sephiroth style. And it's kind of like Sephiroth.
I think that was the other thing I was picking up was like those same kind of story elements, right?
Yeah.
So
it's very similar. It's very similar to Final Fantasy VII, where you have this like overpowered being that wants to take over the planet. Mm-hmm. Or they think the planet is theirs, and they want control over it. So after that night, we lose Eve. She flees, but then we have like not I would say a pandemic, more like an epidemic, where the mutation is spreading. So animals, like we were saying, they turn into beasts. Central Park becomes. They start evacuating people because of this mutation that's spreading, and we see again, and I think you got this far, is where she has an outside concert, and then those people start turning into goo.
Yeah.
And we start realizing that she's trying to make herself an ultimate being. So she can, well, no, not her become the ultimate being. She's going to birth the ultimate being, which gets pretty intense. And then you have your partner, who is your, I wouldn't say stereotypical African American, black, or African American, like police officer. He reminds me of Daniel Bodolis. He reminds me of the guy from was it Danny Glover's character? Yeah, he reminds me of the Lethal Weapon.
Yeah,
character. He's kind of gruff. And he has a son as well that's kind of stuck in the middle of all this. So she kind of partners with him. I thought in the beginning of the game you're going to fight with him, like he's going to be like a party member.
Yeah.
But the whole game, you're just her by yourself.
What's crazy is because remember, like you could go, like when the people show up, right? Everybody burnt to a crisp at the opera, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You go out, you can go back outside, and you run into like the paramedics and the police officer. After meeting him, I was like, why didn't you show up? Where were you in the beginning? I'm pretty sure you got the call that the opera house, everybody's on fire or dead, or burnt to a crisp. Because that's what they also said too. Is like not everybody, like people were just burnt badly. Not everybody died. So it was crazy.
Yeah, I thought the same thing because I was like, yeah, where is he at? What's going on here? Maybe he thought that she can handle it all,
Maybe.
even though he outranks her. So I don't know. Yeah, I thought that was kind of odd as well. But it gets so big that the cops can't really take care of it anyway. The military has to come in. What typically would happen if you have something at this magnitude. We have to get the National Guard. You have to get all these people from our military to kind of help evacuate people and get control of the situation.
Yeah.
So then you meet a Japanese scientist. His name is Maeda, who's the mitochondria expert. He's kind of the expert of all this. And you're basically looking for Eve the whole game. The whole game, you're looking for Eve and you're fighting different monstrosities as you're looking for Eve. And it really gets into a whole lot of biological stuff. It's almost like learning some stuff like ATP synthesis, like endosymbiotics theory and maternal inheritance. And then it like puts it into this science fiction type of it's real science.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't explain. Like, it's not a horror movie; it's like a science fiction movie.
Yeah. So it's very science fiction, but it's also very educational because you kind of get an understanding of the human cells or just the cells in general. And then you find out about her past, why she has her immunity, and her late sister. Her sister died. Maya is her sister. There's another doctor called Dr. Clamp, and I kind of talked about this earlier in the episode, where he realized Maya has more evolved organs after passing.
Mm.
So Dr. Clamp, when she dies, he wants to hold on to this. This is a scientific breakthrough. So he transplants them into this Elizabeth woman and Aya, when they were young. So Melissa and Aya have this mutation or these highly evolved organs, so to speak. And then like when you're playing the game, there's like when you're looking around, there's a letter. I think no, it's not a letter. It's a journal from Melissa. She's talking about pills and how she feels. And I thought that was a good touch. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
When you were searching, like it's like really, really good touch. Makes the story a little deeper because Melissa's a real person and now she's having these supernatural problems.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean the whole story is you're going after Eve before she has the almost like the Antichrist type of thing. Like before she has this ultimate being that's going to just destroy everything.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the story. I mean, the story is pretty. It's pretty good. I thought it was pretty detailed. Though it's pretty good. What were your thoughts on the story?
No, I think it's a good story. Like I said, it has a lot of those elements from Final Fantasy, and just the sci-fi. Like I like sci-fi, so having that kind of in there is just a good thing. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I did not expect to like the game because it's you were like it's sort of RPG, but I was like, here we go. But I'm like, okay, I could play it. I could play it. And I think it's because of the JRPG elements, right? You still have the action. You're not kind of just frozen on the screen taking hits. Like you can dodge unless the rat is throwing like 3 fireballs and you're in a corner, like you can try to dodge.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
It just I liked this game. Like I said, I did not expect to like it. I like this game. Uh,
And that's
and
awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome.
so I definitely, if they want to do a remake, I would say, all right, I would play it. And the music was good. The Now I'm gonna say it. The reason why I said I would hope they do a remake because the art is definitely dated, right?
Yes.
But you can't I expected that. It's a PlayStation game, 1998.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of funny looking at wow, look at how far we've actually come. And I get that I think about that a lot when I play older games.
Yes.
Is thinking about how far we've come with graphics, and even when sometimes we want to go back. If you look at 2D sprite games now versus how they were back then, there's still a lot of different art elements and a lot more detail they can have today that we couldn't have back then.
Yeah, it's looking at it. I mean, looking at it from today, looking at the game today, you'd be like, okay, yeah, the graphics are pretty bad. But I think looking at it from the '90s, looking at the '90s, I was like,
I mean, those are spectacular. Yeah, it was spectacular graphics.
Yeah, yeah,
and like I said, even the pre-rendered rooms and having whatever you needed to search in or whoever you needed to talk to. Oh man, a clown. He got it. But it's just you have they were doing what they could to make one, the game most enjoyable, but two, also make it pretty. And I appreciate that. Video game is an art medium, even though a lot of people will tell you it's not. I think it is an art medium. I think it's a storytelling medium. I think it's, a reflection of society. Certain games also have commentary on society. And I'm looking at Metal Gear, in that
Oh,
way.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
this was yeah, I mean, this was definitely a good piece of art. I thought.
Yeah, and
very,
even
very well done.
and even in the commentation of, is science goal to find this ultimate creature or make these ultimate humans better at the risk of losing everything? These kind of questions. This is just a sci-fi question, right?
Yeah.
Even though we have the scientific capability of doing something, it might not necessarily be the right thing to do.
Right.
And these are those. That's why I like sci-fi, because it poses those questions, right? That we could do this thing, and it could be something that's great, but it will leave a bunch of death in its wake. And was it worth it? And also, it's some of the questions like Metal Gear Solid 4 is ultimately we will become the military industrial complex takes over the world, and that spurns technology, but the technology is only good for death. What was the answer to that? So there's those kind of questions in this medium. I think it's good. I liked it. Like I said, I liked the game. And I like the story. And that's another thing I think people miss out on is good stories. Final Fantasy VII was not only a great game in the sense of how the controls worked, it was a good story. People love the story of Final Fantasy VII.
Yes.
And
your story is the one that has to be you might not like the gameplay, but the story that can also hook someone in.
Yeah, well. and that's why I told you I ended up playing it was because how somebody relayed the story to me, and I was like, I want to play this game. Parasite Eve has a good story, right?
Yes.
And the gameplay elements is just a part of that. Mind you, it's from 1998. So yeah, it's a bit clunky, but the story still stands.
Yeah, and I would say, like, the story was good, and I really like how the cutscenes kind of pulled on your emotional heartstrings
Mm-hmm.
throughout the story. Like the cutscenes, they couldn't have, like today we can have really long cutscenes. I'm talking to you, Yakuza, with your very long cutscenes. Um, so you could have really long cutscenes, but back then the cutscenes were maybe like a couple seconds long. So because of the technology at the time, but the cutscenes in this game, it really kind of draws you in to the story, pulls your heartstrings a little bit, especially when you find out her past, that
Mm-hmm.
she was used as like a lab rat, right? And that's kind of sad in itself. Um, so that was pretty interesting. But yeah, you're right. The story is what really, and that's kind of what I figured when I introduced this game to you. I figured you would like the story, and that would make up for it being an RPG.
Yeah, good call.
So thank you. Yeah, it's a really amazing story. But interestingly, when this game came out, it sold about 2 million copies worldwide, which is it's not bad. A million of them were shipped in Japan because it's kind of based off a Japanese book. So Japanese fans would probably go out and get it because it's based off that book. Um, and, of course, it's praised for its graphics, its FMV scenes, and the combat system,
FMV,
which
oh my
was pretty
god,
good. Yeah, FMV.
that's what I was like. I've seen this. Yeah, it's FMV. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
old.
really. You talking like Sega CD? Like
That's
When I
old.
think of FMV, I'm thinking Sega CD. So
Yeah,
I can't agree with FMV. I guess it is FMV at the time, but it's FMV. I'm thinking like real life people, like in a video, and then
yeah,
you know. But anyway, the now interestingly, survival horror people they're like purists, like the survival horror fans,
yeah.
they didn't like the RPG elements of it. They liked that it was survival horror, but they didn't like the RPG. That kind of threw them off, and
I get.
I can see that.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
Because you're playing Resident Evil. It's running gun action. There's no stopping kind of point, right?
right.
And then, like, say you're in a corridor with zombies or a corridor like Dino Crisis. Oh, they should remake Dino Crisis.
Oh, that would be nice. I would
Yeah.
love to see that. Yeah,
So you're gonna shoot and like move around, and then you're gonna pass by characters that you can't like defeat. So you can run past the zombies, right, and go to the
yes,
next room. And so yeah, I get why the horror people didn't like that, because you're stuck to take out and use your ammo.
yes.
So I get it.
Yeah, I think that was it. It kind of like you said, you're not running away from anything. You have to fight everybody so you
Yeah,
can level up. It's kind of like the thing about RPGs is it's this term called grinding. You got to keep fighting different enemies so you can increase your level, so you can fight the stronger enemies later. Um, this game does that, but it takes away the whole survival horror thing because now you have to fight everything, and
yeah,
the more you fight them, the less scared of them you are.
yeah. And you're using because that's the other thing, right? You're used to in survival horror, like, I have to spare my ammo, I have to spare my stuff. Here I
Right.
really didn't have to, because when I kill somebody, like, I got bullets to replenish. Like,
Yeah.
here I got medicine, so I never really had to worry about not getting something.
Right. Yep. You were prepared. You're always prepared.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like this game, it was good. I like that it was all. I like that part. I'm not survival horror purist, so I was fine with it.
Yeah.
But then the game was good enough to come up with a sequel. So they had a sequel. So there is a Parasite Eve 2 that came out the following year. Came out in '99. I got that one too. I never beat that one. That one's actually really hard. But that one is also very similar controls, different type of story I won't get into, but it's a different type of challenge that you're going after. But that one was pretty good as well. Parasite Eve 2, but I would say Parasite Eve 2 wasn't as good as the first one. But if you like the first one, you'll be okay with the second one. Okay. And the reason for, and I think the reason for it, I just thought about this. I think the reason for it not having a remaster is they got into some trouble legally because it's based off someone else's the novel. So
they never cleared it. They just made the game.
I think they made the game. I could be wrong, but I think there was some. When I was doing research, I found out that they had some like issues with the author of the original book. So it's been in like a limbo for over a decade. for over a decade. So that's probably why they're not doing it either.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because they could at least come up with like I said, a remaster would be nice. Yeah. Or maybe like the third Parasite Eve or something like that. But I guess because it's so like iffy from a legal standpoint, they're kind of like, nah, we'll just stick with our Final Fantasy stuff and maybe do some remakes of those. Wow. So yeah, so that I am a little saddened by that. I wish we can have a remake of Parasite Eve because I would definitely play that as well. I think that would be awesome, especially with the voice acting as well. I would think that would be nice. Yeah. So, but and also Square, they had the Final Fantasy VII remake. Everybody is asking for Final Fantasy VII or Final Fantasy remakes. Like they're looking for Final Fantasy 8, 9, 10 now. So that's what everybody's really focused on. But there are like petitions from Parasite Eve fans to get the remaster made, but it's just not enough people. It's not enough fans, I should say. And I wouldn't say they're as extreme as the Earthbound fans. Earthbound fans, in my opinion, were very extreme. So they were more extreme than Parasite Eve fans. You don't hear about those as much. So that's another reason for it. But that is Parasite Eve. And what would you give it as a rating?
I would give it a 7.5.
Okay. That's good.
Of course, the RPG thing, I don't really like RPGs, but the JRPG element helped me get through it. And like I said, I like the story. So I was like, okay, this is cool.
And I have to ask you, would you play this game after the show, or you kind of wouldn't play this game unless there was a remake?
What do you mean, like
after this episode, would you go back and finish the game, play a game?
Oh yeah, I would go back. I would go back and finish the game.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because it's not, like I said, I would, playing Resident Evil, so this isn't something that I would play it again, even without a remake.
Okay. Awesome, man. Yeah, I give this an 8.5 out of 10, and I would definitely like to see a remake. That would be awesome. Only reason I didn't give it like a higher rating was the controls can be a little clunky at times.
Yeah, but those controls, man, I was just like, oh.
Yeah. That's the thing with Resident Evil, though. Like, I want to like the old Resident Evil game. I just can't get past those controls.
It's controls. Controls.
Yeah. It's terrible. Yeah.
every time I replay it, I'm like, how did I play this game? Like, this is terrible. Like,
yeah. Yeah, then they remade it, and it was, it was a lot better.
yeah,
So that was good. But that's what I hope for if they do make this game, which I don't think they will. If they ever do, the controls definitely would be. I think they'll be fixed. Have some good voice actors in there.
yeah.
I think the game would be amazing. Um, and it would be awesome to have like a PlayStation 5 exclusive or something like that. That would be pretty cool. But that is Parasite Eve. I appreciate you playing this game, and I appreciate you talking about it as well. This is another one of my favorite games. I do love this game, and it's not my favorite like Final Fantasy VII, but
Right.
if it was for Final Fantasy VII, I probably wouldn't even look this way at this game. So Final Fantasy VII, thank you for getting me interested in this game. So that's all I have to say about Parasite Eve. Do you have anything further to say?
No, if you've never played it, please try it out. It's a very, it's a good game. It's got a good story. The controls are clunky. Or if you have played it, like, please let us know. Write in the comments. Respond back, or even like tell us another game that you would recommend. If we like this one, what other game would you recommend that we play based on our like of this game? So yeah, that's all I have.
Awesome, man. Thank you for joining, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Parasite Eve is a magnificent time capsule of an era when Square was firing on all cylinders and taking massive stylistic gambles. It bridges the gap between sci-fi thriller, survival horror, and deep RPG mechanics with an effortless cinematic swagger. Aya Brea remains one of the coolest, most grounded protagonists of the 32-bit generation, and Yoko Shimomura's score still gives me chills. It's tight, it's memorable, and it doesn't waste a single second of your time. I give Parasite Eve a fantastic 8.5 out of 10. Thank you again for joining us on Cartridge Chronicles. Keep your controllers ready and your adventures endless. We'll catch you in the next episode. Until then, don't stop gaming.